Welcome back, everybody. I hope you had a great time watching our show. This is the Silent Hill Ascension post show. I'm Eduardo, joined here by Layla. And Layla, that was quite the scene between Eric and Toby.
Ooh, yeah. You never want to see a couple of buddies head into conflict, but it seems like, if my friend's if my friend's wife was involved in the death of my sister, I'd make some exceptions.
No, I mean that it's quite a dramatic setup, and one of the things is you, the audience at home, are making that setup even more dramatic because as a secret, we actually watch the shows and the decisions developing as the show plays. We kind of watch, are interested. One of the things we're noticing is Damnation overtook Redemption, but just slightly. It's really close on what Toby is going to do with 2 days left. We're all really excited on the development teams to see what happens, and I can't imagine what you, the audience, are expecting.
Yeah, I'll keep it a secret what I'm rooting and tooting for, but for sure, we're definitely watching it because we genuinely have no idea what folks find compelling. Sometimes it's the thing we don't expect, but so far it's not suffering, which I'm finding very interesting.
Oh no, for sure, right? It's that battle between Redemption and Damnation moving into week 2. That's really the story that you, the audience, are building for us. But speaking of you, the audience, building the story, one of the things is we want to talk about our cameo contests because the scenes you saw, it had a few of you, the audience, in them. As Layla, if you could present that and how it works. And actually, we have a deadline coming too soon.
We do. So you can take part in cameo contests every day and be an extra in Silent Hill Ascension. Cameo contests close every day at 6:30 p.m. Pacific time, which right now it is 6:20 p.m. Pacific time. So you've got about 10 minutes to get in for the next show, which is pretty tight. Recommend doing that if that's your interest. You got any details on that, Eduardo?
Sure. One of the important aspects of this cameo system is that it's a way for you at home to be part of Silent Hill canon forever. After all, if you're picked, you get to be in that scene. You get to be replayed and watched over and over again. So the thing is, you can enter those cameo contests essentially with influence points, and it's up to you to decide when you want to try that. But that's definitely something. If you want to be part of Silent Hill canon, this is our opportunity individually to do it. Now, that said, before we move on into our post-show, we will have our director of production, Shiaw-Ling Lai, appear in about 15-ish minutes, and she has a message from the development team for you, the community at home, so please do look forward to that. But as Layla and us walk you through in our post-show the story, we're actually going to have our production team show the video that just premiered. We talked about Eric and Toby, but this one is about Carl and Astrid discussing the estranged sister Brit, new character, to convince her to attend their mother's funeral. Now, although Astrid would like the whole family to be together, she still harbors resentments against Brit because of their past egregious behavior. So no matter what, it is a tense conversation, as often does families do too. And now Astrid has to figure out how to approach it. Now the thing is, the way Astrid figures out is you, the audience at home, doing so.
Yeah, that's true. And the other thing I'd like to call out is in a family rife with murder and lying, what the bar for egregious that gets you kind of excommunicated from this group, right? Because I was a little bit of a black sheep in my family, and I haven't done any murdering yet.
I like the yet. By the way, this is great at home. You got the evidence here. It's the yet. It's to come. It's soon to be. There just hasn't been a good enough reason so far. I totally love it here. Now that's the thing. You just need the excuse, and you need it yet, like future telling. But I mean, if we're talking about deaths, I personally hope those aren't the last ones we see. After all, we are in a horror series. But that's the thing is, you're right. What Brit has done, I believe, will probably be quite important and something the audience should watch, look forward to at home. We don't want to spoil anything, but Layla, things to look forward to here.
Oh, so many things. One, the deaths. How did they happen? Two, what is this egregious behavior we're referencing? Sure would like to know. What was the creature in the window? There are so many questions that I have, and I'm sure the audience has as well, because once again, I'll repeat it, we really decided to throw the audience into the middle of the action, and it's a lot of information to take in, Eduardo.
That's for sure. And one of the things is, while it is a lot of information, we're still asking you, the audience, to provide even more here. Our production team is going to actually throw the decision that has appeared today on screen as Layla walks you through that.
Yes. So for today, it's how will Astrid handle Britt missing the funeral? Will she lecture her as older sisters do? Will she beg her to come? Another begging choice? Or will she be understanding? And the interesting thing, Eduardo, and we've kind of talked about this briefly when we saw this choice the first time, is the nice thing in this situation is not actually the kind thing.
No, and that's one of the things, right? Is like, it's interesting that being understanding is what's leading down to damnation, which, I mean, comes to the point of how egregious was that thing? Are you, by being understanding with the person who was egregious, that leads you down the damnation path? Kind of interesting. But, you know, you get to know in advance the thing. This is a fake decision, so there's a redemption, suffering, and damnation option again at home. For those of you, just as a reminder, those do end up affecting characters' ultimate fates. So very important to take some time and consider how you believe Astrid should behave in this situation.
Yeah, consider, ponder, or, you know, take the Chaos Goblin route and just press the button that appeals to you the most in that. And what is the egregious behavior when we contextualize it against murder or potential murder, excuse me? And, you know, God knows, who knows what Astrid is up to at this point, right? Like, we've seen the way Ingrid behaves, we've seen the way Carl behaves. Astrid, what are you hiding, right? Like, at this point, this family is full of surprises and not the good kind.
No, I mean, like, that's one of the things, right? The secret needle with morphine, being at the farm. Orson, not also, like, continuing the family tradition of aggressivity towards others and danger. So that's one of the things, is one of the things in the pre-show that we discussed was actually the story so far in Norway. And we're actually going to rediscuss that, so to make sure that everybody is up to speed. But we're going to look at it through the lens of what we will see in the future and in the context of today. So Layla, production team is going to throw that on screen, the story week 1 in Norway, as Layla walks you through that.
Absolutely. So as we said in the pre-show, Astrid discovers that her mother Ingrid has died in her father's care. She also learns that her son Orson bit another kid at school, which, biting supremacy, that is, you know, if you're going to be a kid and you're going to do violence, biting's the way to do it. And she finds out that the content of the syringe that she found in her mother's bedroom is morphine that she was not prescribed. Not great, Eduardo.
Not great. It's not the best advice to tell kids to bite others, but thankfully this is a mature show and a mature audience, so we know that everything's safe. No, you're right. It is not great, though, to find morphine. After all, I mean, it makes sense to me, though. Like, you know, Astrid's like, my father will take care of my mother, the person he loves, decided to spend the rest of his life with, and, you know, something just went very, very, very wrong.
I was gonna say, Eduardo, I was just like nodding along with you because I trust you inherently as my partner here in the post show. And then you said the morphine makes sense to you, and I won't lie, that took me back a little bit. What do you mean? Should I be looking out for stray needles from Eduardo? What's going on? No, but you're right. These are complicated relationships that clearly have a lot of history, right? And we don't know that history yet. Though, again, I stand by. I was pro Joy demanding the fire. I am pro Orson biting. I think if you're going to do violence, be direct, right? I am not the poisoner of my friend group anyway. I'm more of a direct action kind of gal.
Well, that's the thing, right? But, you know, I'm hoping that one of the things from, you know, the Endure scenes is that violence was directed towards the monsters, you know, as we saw Toby there doing the good work. And you, the audience at home, attempting it didn't work. Toby's hope went down a bit, but that's okay. You get to keep doing more direct violence as you need it, as Layla has recommended to you, the audience at home, within the Silent Hill Ascension experience, by the way, please.
Yes,
do not
contained to the boxes in which we are speaking to you from, please.
Yes, of course. It's important. Remember, this is a horror series, so do enjoy when things go very, very wrong, because that is really part of the enjoyment. And personally, I am hoping that things in Norway keep going very, very wrong, because that lets us discuss more with you and that lets you, the audience, be a little more entertained about it. But I think we talked about Norway a lot, and we should move things now to Pennsylvania. Again, we talked a little bit about this in the pre-show, but Layla's going to reintroduce you to our week 1 in Pennsylvania so far, and our production team's already thrown that on screen for you.
Yeah, closer again to our little corner of the world. So back in Pennsylvania, we've seen it, we know it. Joy meets a gruesome end during a botched ritual with Rachel Hernandez at the Foundation. Her brother Toby finds out that she dies from his friend Eric, who is Rachel's husband, and sees then a delusion of his dead sister in the woods. As Rachel then begins to see monsters and decides to take her little daughter Faith with her husband Eric to the Foundation, to that sturdy brownstone, where maybe they'll be safe, maybe they'll do more culty ritual stuff. You kind of don't know with Rachel. She's really up to stuff I don't know I approve of.
You said cults? You mean something else,
sorry,
right?
pyramid-shaped self-improvement group. You're so correct.
That's okay. I just want to make sure our language is all aligned. It's very important here. But let's cut to the chase. The family drama here that I'm the most interested in, and I mean, seeing the drama from the audience as well, is definitely Toby and Joy. And one of the best parts about that whole drama is one of the characters in this situation is not alive.
I was gonna say, is it drama between Toby and Joy, or is it drama between Toby's idea of Joy?
I mean,
because as we've covered and as we've seen many times, Joy is pretty thoroughly gone.
Oh yeah. Oh no. She is very gone. But that's the thing, right? Is if Toby's perceiving his sister that way, that's a pretty aggressive take to have on a family member who passed away.
Yeah, it sounds like it's not all Joy up there, you know? It sounds like maybe it's a little bit of whatever Toby's got going on in his head, influencing his perception of other people, as we all tend to do, right? Everyone has associations with others, but in terms of such like an intimate death, like, and a little sister, right, as somebody who has like younger family members, you really do, anytime feels anything happens to them, anything bad, you feel like it's a little bit your fault, even if you had nothing to do with it whatsoever. And you always ask yourself, like, okay, well, what could I have done better, even if the answer is nothing, right? That person has to, it just happened to be in a circumstance. And I do really feel for Toby here. I have been in the production pro Toby. I am pro sad wet men. I do hope that he find some sort of closure. Whether or not that's positive or negative for him, that's kind of up to the audience to decide, but you know, something will close.
Yeah, and I mean, one of the things, without delving too much into it, if you're talking about people who are in the middle of it, Eric kind of having very little power and just seeing everything crashing around him. But, you know, speaking of people who do have actual power, it's time to look at the choices that you, the audience, made so far. Now, our production team's going to throw some of the choices you made this past week. Layla's going to introduce us to this, and then we're going to talk about what you did.
Yeah, so let's talk about what we've done so far, which is what will Astra do with evidence of Carl's guilt? How will Rachel explain Joy's death to the elders? And how will Astrid react to her son biting another child? So the audience here chose to lecture him. Astrid turned that syringe over to the police, and Rachel, she doubted, and that was on her. That wasn't very, again, self-improvement scheme of her.
No, that's one of the things. One of the key arcs of that first week for you, the audience, has been really the redemption path. A lot of you have latched onto the redemption path. It makes sense. You want to kind of see the good ending. You want to see the characters survive. That's not the story moving forward necessarily. We've seen a lot of you kind of going between redemption and damnation. And again, it's up to you at home to decide how you want this to be. But one of the things is, our setup so far is on that small path to redemption, but as we go, the tension is rising. So very interesting here to see essentially how these characters are going to develop from this kind of, we're trying our best start, into a start that is a lot more conflicted.
Yeah, I am also curious because I mean, first week you're so right. First week we saw like a really strong wave of redemption, and that's not uncommon. You know, you kind of look at other metrics from other places, and you see that a lot of people do tend to like lean good. I know that I, as somebody who engages with a lot of narrative, I am such a goody two shoes. I cannot be mean to the pixels, right? But here in week 2, all of a sudden, we see the damnation wave. I think people are getting bolder, Eduardo.
No, for sure. There's a lot more boldness, but also it's because the light shines best in the darkness, but you need the darkness first. We're providing some of that, and you're deciding to join along and maybe provide some of that as well. But for sure, the decisions are close, to keep attention to them. They are really coming down to the wire. So whether you want redemption or damnation, those are really the options going to week 2. Suffering, we'll probably maybe see as we go on, as the decisions get closer, as the characters get more nuanced, because you discover more about the characters as we go. Now, that said, it is time. Shiaw-Ling Lai is ready in our back room. So we're going to actually say goodbye to Layla. So Layla's going to wave bye to you. It was a pleasure having you here, Layla, as she's going to disappear and swap for Shiaw-Ling. She vanished. The otherworld swallowed her completely. Just gone completely. She couldn't say bye, so sorry there. Now, that said, I'm going to walk you through essentially the decision that kind of came up today as we wait for Shiaw-Ling Lai to emerge from the fog. So it's how will Astrid handle Brit missing the funeral. So the options here are to either lecture her, which is the redemption path, beg her to come, which is suffering, or be understanding, which is damnation. Remember again that the thing with Brit is that there was something really egregious that happened, and because we don't know what that is, it's interesting that the redemption option is to essentially lecture her, and the damnation path is to be understanding. So we can only surmise at what that is. And I'm seeing, by the way, here that Shiaw-Ling is getting ready, and I think we'll be able to pop her up on screen. So let's see if our production team can. There we go. Everybody in the audience, it's my delight to introduce to all of you Shiaw-Ling Lai, our director of production, who's joining us for kind of a special conversation tonight. Shiaw-Ling, a great pleasure to have you on here. We'll get that fixed in just a bit. Don't worry, audience at home, coming out of the fog does something to your vocal cords.
Can you hear me?
There we go. The fog has cleared from your vocal cords, Shiaw-Ling. Glad to hear that.
It interferes a lot with signals. It does.
Yes. So that's perfect. So the thing is, we're delighted to have you here. I hope the audience at home, you appreciate this as well. Now, Shiaw-Ling, you're representing kind of our development team as our director of production, and you had a message for our audience, the community at home, as we kind of went through a kind of tumultuous first week in many ways.
Yeah, it was definitely challenging, and mostly I'm here to just acknowledge, like, hey, audience, we have definitely heard all of your feedback. We heard the pain points of login on day 1. We definitely heard how hard it was for a lot of you to connect. I know folks had issues with their data getting lost, or like you'd play a puzzle and it wouldn't save. I'm here to say we're listening. For those of you who have reached out directly to talk to us, thank you so much. For folks who, have shared their honest feedback, we really are grateful for the feedback. What I'm also here to kind of let folks know is that, whether it's positive or negative, again, we super appreciate it. And although we can't respond directly to everything, if you did reach out through an official channel, one of our community team members is working through that backlog to make sure we get you a response. And I'm here to talk a little bit about what kind of things we're going to be fixing, as well as what you guys can expect from us in the future and how we're going to give you those updates.
Thank you so much for being here for that, Shiaw-Ling. Now, one of the big things I'm sure everybody at home would like to know, kind of, not obviously just the issues we had, but like kind of some of the fixes we've had, and maybe a few that we're hoping the development team is hoping to kind of get out there.
Yeah, all right. So you're gonna have to forgive me because I'm gonna have to look through the list that's already gotten pretty long. So one of the things hopefully people experience tonight is that we've improved the stability. So you should there should be a lot less trouble connecting to the app and making sure your data is saved when you do your decisions, as well as when you play your puzzles. Folks who had trouble logging in should have a lot less of that now. We still may have edge cases, and if that's the case, please do feel free to reach out. We do appreciate it when you do that for us. Last week we had folks who weren't getting their IP. That should have been granted back to your accounts. Again, anybody who's having issues, please let us know. Refunds are being processed. I think most of them we got through, but there's a few that are a little finicky, and it has to do with whether you paid on Google or Apple. Some of those need the platforms to also get involved, so just us can't solve it, although we are trying. The team's really trying very hard to do that for you guys. In response to a lot of the feedback that folks had in terms of interacting with the app, moments should be active. That's something that people were a little bit confused about on day one. We have turned emoji back on, so I saw a lot of that go through. Thank you guys for engaging there. And then stickers are up. You will also see more puzzles available to you. That was in response to folks saying, hey, we wanted to play a little bit more. And then coming up on Wednesday, there is new content coming into the Endure streams. Our team members are tuning, so it was a little bit more challenging today. And on Wednesday, there is a very cool boss fight if the community can get to it. So I'm rooting for you guys. Hopefully we'll get to see it. I think it's a pretty cool moment. There's a great cameo in it. That's probably my favorite cameo. I want to spoil it, but I won't.
No. We shouldn't spoil anything here on the show. We already got enough. The thing is, tomorrow you can all practice as well one last time to make sure that on Wednesday you nail it. And speaking of Wednesday, actually, one of the big things with kind of the hosted show is we're actually going to have a segment in our post show to talk about some of these development updates. Make sure that all of you folks at home kind of get those updates for a variety of sources, and that'll be one of them where your hosts, so that's people like myself, Layla, and Noah, who you have seen previously, and we'll walk through what our development team is sharing with us to make sure that you get that. Of course, there'll be many more sources, and actually, Shiaw-Ling, there are many more sources where people can both read about our updates, but also get in touch with us.
Yes, so people can reach out on social media. People can tune in here in the after show with you, the lovely hosted show team. Or you can email us at feedback@genvid.com. There is a human being reading those notes. We do have a lot, so please, again, bear with us as we get through it all. On Wednesday, you guys can look forward to more updates in terms of what we're focusing on. So a little bit of looking ahead. We still have some challenges with cross-platform. We're on PC and mobile, and sometimes connecting between the two. You might still have a little bit of issues there. There's still less common stability issues, so some folks may have some, different circumstances in terms of how they're connecting. We're working on those. The Endure stream, we're hoping to bring the little popping heads back up so you can see how other people are doing as you're playing along with them. That is definitely one of the features I do enjoy when we play together on our tests. And then rallies is coming soon. I think we are close to getting that in the final QA so that we can roll it out for the community. That could make a big shift in terms of how decisions end. So it could be swinging pretty wildly on the back if people engage.
No, and thank you again so much, Shiaw-Ling, for coming on and sharing those updates. For the audience at home, we wanted to have kind of a quicker update tonight, but that's not the end of our time with Shiaw-Ling in general. Next Friday, actually, we're going to interview Shiaw-Ling so that we can learn more about her and her role within the product. But
I'm actually going to come back this Friday.
Yes, exactly.
I'm going to interrupt your program again. Sorry.
It's all good. It's better to do so in a more relaxed, with coffee, with tea, with people at home knowing that you're coming. So the big thing about that is you'll get to learn more about Shiaw-Ling Lai, the person and the role. So that's it for today. This is the end, really, of our post show. So I'm going to recap a little bit what we've seen with Layla. We've seen a lot of the stories so far. Week 1 in Pennsylvania. A lot of action, monsters, And essentially, a lot of it is coming down now to that relationship between Toby and Joy and what that destruction or redemption is going to redeem. I do mean damnation here, but it's you, the audience, who's choosing. Norway, there's a lot more intrigue. We got Brit that came up. Essentially, Norway is about figuring out what is so damning about the Johansson family. Now, while it is the end of our post show, it's not necessarily the end of your time with us here at Silent Hill Ascension. Even tonight, the mindfulness puzzles, as Shiaw-Ling pointed out, we made free because they affect characters' hopes and they're a way for you to engage more. The feedback was, we enjoy these, we want to see more of them. So we tried to deliver that to you so that you can have a chance. So when you go into those mindfulness puzzles, again, in the Arcane Library, at the top, you have the choice between essentially the Arcane Library or mindfulness. Just click that button and those are available for you. Now, all that said, our production team is going to throw up when our next shows are. So our pre-shows are Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays at 5:40 p.m. Pacific, 8:40 p.m. Eastern. The show happens every day, no matter what, rain, shine, or fog. Often fog, at 6 p.m. Pacific. And the post show is right after on Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays. And on Fridays, we do try to bring a special piece of content with somebody coming on board for a little interview, which will be the case here with Shiaw-Ling. So for Eduardo, also representing Layla, who I hope did have a lovely time with all of you, the audience, as well as Shiaw-Ling Lai. Thank you so much at all of you at home for tuning in. I hope you had a great evening. And we will see you soon.